Back to the summer ovals and back to a track that NASCAR nearly left behind, Chicagoland Speedway. 1.5 miles in length, but without a straightaway anywhere but pit road, Chicagoland is one big misshapen oval, but man does it race good. From recent class finishes to past and current thrilling side-by-side racing, Chicagoland truly has it all. Welcome to Pit Stop TV and the virtual Joliet, Illinois. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV, back for another round of the All-American Racing Network Next Gen Cup Series, and it's a pleasure to join you for coverage of the Bully Dog 201. Today's coverage is brought to you by Bully Dog Coffee Company, by the All-American Racing Network, and by Whiplash Creative. It's always good to be here bright and early on a Sunday morning. It is foggy at the racetrack currently. We'll take a look at that in just a moment, but first, of course, the Chicagoland Speedway as drivers wrap up their qualifying runs. So far, it's Coulter Clark on pole. We'll see if that changes here in the final waning moments of the session. There you see a look at the Chicagoland Speedway. The straightest bit of racetrack is the short chutes between the start-finish line and turn 1, and then between turn 4 and that start-finish line. Otherwise, there is no part of this racetrack, and even in those little short chutes, you're generally not going straight. You're generally still turning the wheel. It's just one of those kinds of racetracks. You're always turning the wheel some kind of direction. But man, this place really, really races well. And it's just a lot of fun to watch, a lot of fun to race, a lot of fun to talk about. Chicagoland Speedway deserves a place on the NASCAR calendar. And I am so glad, like so many others, that it is back in said NASCAR calendar, getting back on the calendar last weekend. Here in the month of July, right in time for July 4th weekend. That's a look at the racetrack, a look at point standings coming into this morning's race. There you see Zachary King on top, and we're now tracking points to that cutoff line for the chase. And, you know, the focus is really now about 8th and farther south, and really even 9th, because Greg Van Nice, he's kind of on the cut line still. He's just above that kind of cushion area. He could easily drop out. Hopefully he does not, but Casey Gross looks safe for right now. Of course, Jordan White, Cameron Combs, Doug Scalise, Casey Gross, they all need to be on their A game to maintain those cushions they have, but for the time being, they do look safe. Now on the other side, Elijah Maupin, Chad Fox, Mark Bender, Christopher Foote, Mike Ravillo, Mike Alley, all the way down through Justin Young. It's time to go. I don't know how much more time these guys, well, we know how much more time they have. I don't know how many points they can get back in the time they have remaining to the chase. I just don't know if guys can go from 21st, 22nd, 23rd and still get in. But it's going to be a lot of fun watching them give it a shot. A quick look at the schedule this season. You see we're here for race number 19 of 36. Next week's race at Dover Motor Speedway will be an effective all-star race while also still counting for points. The format was announced recently in the All-American Racing Network Discord server, and we'll take a look at that, of course, next week when we get to Dover Motor Speedway for the second time this season, first time since race number 3. As I mentioned, qualifying is wrapping up. That gives us just a couple of moments to take a look at our power rankings and fantasy points coming into today. Here's a look at the power rankings first. There you see Coulter Clark. He's going to start this race from pole position, and he's on top of those power rankings. That's going to help him even more as he leads Chris Romano, Zach King, Jordan White, and Chris Winstone in your top 5. I can tell you Chris Winstone starts 3rd, Chris Romano starts 4th, Jordan White starts 5th, but Zach King, I don't actually see him here today. So no Zachary King, no points leader. That is a big shock to me, and I'm sure to a handful of others out there. No Zach King in the lineup this morning. A quick look at fantasy standings. There you see Zach King on top there as well. He has not picked, though, yet for today, and those picks lock up here in just a few minutes. 10:05 Eastern is the time we typically shoot for, so a little bit more time if you're watching and you haven't made your picks yet, but you're in the Pit Stop TV Discord server, and now is the time to head on over there and make your picks. Of course, you can still do so for today's race. There you see the info, the Discord server at the bottom of your screen. Discord.gg, there we go, /8, lowercase d, capital N, capital X, the number 7, capital S, capital D, capital R, capital Q. That gets you in the Discord server with the roles to play the fantasy game, and there is still time to do so. About 3 minutes. Gotta be quick. One more look at those fantasy standings. It is tight at the top 3. Myself, Sean Hughes, and Zach King all very close together. And then things really speed out. You see Blue Carlin in the top 10 last time with Sonoma. We'll see how that changes going into Dover next week. Drivers are on the grid, ready to go racing bright and early this morning at Chicagoland Speedway. A quick look through your starting grid here at Chicagoland. There's Coulter Clark. That's a sound I've never heard from the sim before. Hopefully everybody heard that. I have never heard the sound that just came out of the iRacing.com sim. I've been on here for 10 years. That caught me off guard. Regardless, Coulter Clark on pole. Greg Van Nice will start from his right side as they fire off to turn number 1 this morning for what is going to be 134 laps. Back in row 2, how about driver number 37, Chris Winstone, the road racer, starting up front this morning alongside Chris Romano. Jordan White, Cameron Combs from row 3, followed by Sean Hughes and Thaddeus Friel Jr. Finally, Dakota Sidrus and Joseph Essenberg within your top 10. The remaining 9 drivers on the grid: Elijah Melpin, Doug Scalise, Michael Rovillo, Corey Powell, Shane Hatfield starting from 15th, Mark Bender from 16th, then Joe Conan, Casey Gross, and Chad Fox. The remaining 9 starters on the grid this morning. As Coulter Clark leads us around, a quick look at the weather conditions brought to you by MXWraps.com. There you see 72.2 degrees in the air, 75 on track. And if we look at the sim time, there we go, 7:03 p.m. It's in the evening. We'll be racing into the night this morning, but it is relatively cool for these guys. Not a super hot racetrack. Should be nice and grippy. And a quick look at the Whiplash SimCam's race details. 134 laps, 201 miles, just over 320 kilometers with 4 change sets in the pit lane, 60% fuel in these cars. They'll be pitting often, and we might see some 2-tire changes out there. Buckle up. It's going to be a wild one at Chicagoland this morning. Into the restart zone. It's Coulter Clark leading us to the green flag in Joliet. Green flag, 201 miles. Here we go. Already trouble off of 2. Hang on. In the wall goes one of them. Cameron Combs skids to a stop. Corey Powell hits the apron. My goodness, the 15 already in trouble. Lap number 1. I have seen bigger crashes on lap 1, admittedly. But that's still not what you want if you're Cameron. He's been around the top end of the field most of the season. Let's see what happened to him here in turns 1 and 2. He's got Sidrus down low in the 64. Romano up ahead in the 44. Sidrus just gets loose. I think this is his first start of the season. Not a great way to start things off. And see there, Combs trying to lock it down, gets tapped by a couple of cars going by. One of them being Corey Powell in the 92. You see again, Sidrus just got loose on the inside, locked it up, and boom, into the 15 car. Coming by, that was Essenberg in the 10, I think. And then Corey Powell with nowhere to go. On board with Corey Powell. He was checking up, trying to give himself some time, and just ends up clipping him, and unfortunately that clearly broke the right front of the race car. That's a decent bit of damage, and that all starts really from his teammate, Dakota Sidrus, down in turn 2. I'm going to look at the start of that for the 64. Here's the onboard, just on throttle, got loose, didn't really respond at the wheel, which honestly might be a good thing, but not what you want to have happen. Again, I think this is his first start within the league, and that's obviously going to detract from the day he has here at Chicago just a bit. Coulter Clark will continue then to lead us around. Chris Winstone able to get to second place. Greg Van Nice dropped to third. Sean Hughes is a driver I want to watch today. He started this season off really, really strong and has just kind of been around the last handful of weeks. Like, he hit this string of racetracks that maybe he isn't as strong with and has been trying to get back in his groove. It's been a lot of Chris Romano out of the Chevrolet stable. Of course, the three Whiplash racing cars are all Toyotas. Those are Clark, Winstone, and White. And then Zach King is in a Ford when he races. So out of the Chevrolet stable, it's really been Chris Romano that's been leading that charge. Sean Hughes, Cameron Combs, they were really good early in the season, but have kind of fallen off here into the summer. And you see that evidenced by Cameron Combs. I mean, really wrong place, wrong time, but he's not out of the race, but he does have some damage. The left rear looks a little bit better, and the left front looks okay. Corey Powell is the guy I'm really worried about out of that. He's got, oh yeah, a lot of right front damage. We'll come around and get the iRacing green flag in just one more moment to get us restarted here on what will be lap number 5. Still a while to go. A big thank you, of course, though, to Bully Dog Coffee Company for presenting this morning's race and the entire season with the All-American Racing Network. Founded by Patrick Bowler with nearly 2 decades of experience in the coffee industry, Bully Dog Coffee Company turns the process of making coffee back into a ritual, better supporting your caffeine needs and local dog shelters in Central Arizona in the process. Order your first pound for as little as $15 with promo code FAST10 at checkout today. Green flag, just like that. Lap 5 underway at Chicago. Off the second corner, a better look so far. 2, 3 wide through the field, and into turn 3 we go. Sean Hughes giving help there to, that's Greg Van Nice down low. He gets tight. Up the racetrack goes to 24. Hughes hits the apron. Winstone through to second. Elijah Mopin trying to race here as the 34 has trouble. There's a look at Elijah Mopin in the 66. Slowing down is the 2 of Rovillo. He got up into third place here on this restart. And he is moving quick through the field. Here's a run, though, from that 24 car. Van Nice back down to the inside. That's going to bring the 75 of Hughes along with. They'll attack the inside of the racetrack. Hughes right to the bottom. Van Nice tries to hold him down. Now up in front of Rovillo. Like they're racing for a win. It's only lap 7. With Coulter Clark and Chris Winstone getting away at the front in the wall briefly. The 2 car. Rovillo. On board for Elijah Mopin, loose off the corner. There goes Rovillo on the inside. Hang on to it, Mike. And another one loose in the background. That was Cydrus. He goes all the way down to the inside wall nearly. Gets back on the racetrack. He's got right rear damage. I believe that's still from the first incident. And he'll get back going as Shane Hatfield drops down as well. Right in front of Cydrus. Now Rovillo drops another spot behind. So it is just chaos for these guys trying to get a handle on the race car. But up front, Coulter Clark, Chris Winstone driving away. Teammates at the front of the field. The only one they're missing is that number 83, Jordan White. It looked like he had to start from the pit lane. Unsure as to why. And down to the inside, Cameron Combs, the 15, having trouble here on lap number 10. He's at the racetrack. He's done. That right front is destroyed. We'll get a replay as to what happened off of turn number 2. But Cameron Combs is going to bring that car down to the pit lane, and unfortunately, his day is going to come to an early end, at least competitively. He might be able to stick around to get that damage fixed and get back out there in 50 laps or so, but he's going to be waiting a while. Here's Cameron Combs through turn 2. We saw some melee. He just got loose and took it off into the outside wall. Just that small correction back to the right, and that was enough to completely destroy that car. He tried to get back on the racetrack and keep it going, and that's when he realized he had no steer in that right front tire, and it was off to the wall for him. Gets it back down to the apron and to the pit lane, and he's already out of Chicagoland, but did a great job in both of his incidents this morning to get out of the way and not collect anybody else. Chris Romano dropping back in this race so far. He's been fantastic through the summer stretch. Got the win at Watkins Glen and has been super competitive. Nearly won at Sonoma a couple of weeks ago. This is a little bit odd to see him dropping down the order. That's Mark Bender right over his right front fender. You hear him lifting, modulating that throttle into turn 1. Doesn't need to go side by side just right now. He does have that 77 out the mirror though. Casey Gross putting pressure on him as that is Doug Scalise on the inside, I believe. It is. Bender and Scalise both in the top 10, a decent start to their mornings. Joked with Scalise earlier that we'd be sending him a bill for all the Rockstar energy drinks consumed on these broadcasts. And he made sure to let me know that was not a stipulation set back in February while he was also drinking a rain this morning. So I think there's something going around of needing to caffeinate before these races. That said, for Doug, he's got a good start to the day. 12th place at the drop of the green. He's up into 7th right now, watching his teammate roll through 1 and 2, make that 8th as Romano makes a pass down low on the 16 car of Doug Scalise. Still plenty of time in this race, though. A long ways to go for these guys. And this has been one of the more green flag leagues we've had on Pit Stop TV as of late. Certainly, I think Nora and Sarah take that cake, but right behind has been the All-American Racing Network here on Sunday mornings. And, of course, we had fully green flag racing a couple of weeks ago at Sonoma, just about, and this is our first oval with the series since the month of May. There's my Rockstar getting cracked, by the way. I'm sure you heard that in the background. 17 laps complete this time by for Coulter Clark. 3rd place, Sean Hughes, starting to get his wits about him. And some breathtaking scenery around this racetrack currently. Sean Hughes up the racetrack in turn 4. That's going to cost him a handful of time. But he's got time back to Greg Van Nice. This is where the battle really starts up. Elijah Mopin in the 66, the 44 of Chris Romano, and then some racing even behind them with Doug Scalise, Mark Bender, Jordan White, Thaddeus Friel. It is busy back here around the top 10 cutoff. Jourdain's moving around. He's got, that's Bender down low in the 33. Friel up top in the 98. And Jourdain's just caught in the middle. By the way, Corey Powell has called it a day so far. He might get back out there, but in the pit lane for the time being as Bender checks up on the inside. There goes Jordan White around the outside. The Jamaican sensation has returned to the top 10. I actually recall exactly what his pit lane start was for now. It was for his win celebration at Sonoma. If you weren't there with us for that broadcast, it's worth going back. He won the race. He was the first to the start-finish line and everything, and we know he won the race. He then took it onto the carousel layout of Sonoma Raceway, which, if you don't know, on iRacing, gives you a black flag if you're running the Cup Short layout. He ran the Cup Long layout there briefly, the carousel. We were on the Cup Short layout for the day, which means he had to travel back towards the start-finish line in a section of racetrack that wasn't actually racetrack on that layout. iRacing gave him a black flag for reckless driving and disqualified him from the event. It was somewhat unprecedented territory for the league to be in, and Doug Scalise made, I think, the correct call to award Jourdain the win still, but make it known to everybody that if you turn around on the racetrack and give yourself a black flag and get disqualified from here on out, you're going to lose the win. So Jourdain able to keep it, and we now have the Jourdain White rule here in the All-American Racing Network, and I would imagine that may permeate to some other leagues. I think we'll even write a rule about that for the Whiplash Racing League coming up very soon. Jourdain able to pass Thaddeus Friel, put him on the inside into turn one. And he'll take off after Doug Scalise now, who's in the 8th position after starting 12th. On board, Casey Gross has a run on the outside of Elijah Mopin. That's going to be for the 6th position. So the 77 and the 66 will swap spots, 6 and 7. Casey's got the run on the outside. Elijah holds steady on the bottom, and position change. Mopin starting to head in the wrong direction. This is a racetrack that can eat up tires, especially over the course of the long run. So you're looking at Elijah. He started 11th, got a great start up into 5th at one point in time. As there's a battle right behind, Jourdain White on the outside of Doug Scalise. He's trying to put the 16 in his rear view. He's also rolling the top side of the racetrack. He'll have a run off the corner, but that's negated. Gets in the wall off of turn number 4, and that'll hold the 83 back for just a little bit longer. And Jourdain White down to the inside now. He gets ahead of the 16 of Scalise. Looking for a way by the 66 of Mopin. That was into the wall there for the 66 car. And to look around the field a little bit with some of these lap times, here's some comparisons. So Coulter Clark out front running a 30.942. Sean Hughes in third, a 30.788. He's moving a little bit faster right now. Casey Gross kind of just behind the leader at a 31.05, and then Jourdain White just inside of a 31 that last lap. This lap going to be slower, I'm sure. Coulter picks it up. Sean drops off a little bit. Casey picks it up. And Jourdain White, the slowest of that bunch that time around, as he continues to battle with the number 16. Onto the apron. That's a big checkup for the 83 car. Doug Scalise always supporting those Bully Dog Coffee Company colors. What a treat it would be to finally put that car in victory lane. Got a little bit of work to do, though. Might need a couple of cautions to even the field up, maybe shake some things up in the pit lane as battles are kicking up for second and third and fourth. Romano back ahead of Hughes as he's chasing down the 37 of Winstone. I said earlier, Romano was a little slow to get going this morning. He's now to the inside of car 37. And he's going to have the nose ahead into turn number 1. He has got that long run speed apparently. Dropped down to 8th there early, and here he goes up into 2nd spot. And the onboard then from Sean Hughes. He'll take a look up at the 37 Toyota Camry. Chris in the wall there off of turn 4. That should give Sean the point into turn number 1, and yes, it will. Sean gets the go ahead and takes off at a turn 1. So Chris Winstone's starting to drop down the order, burning his tires up maybe. Oh, and there goes Hughes, loose off of turn 2. That's starting to get more and more of these guys. We saw Jordan White do the same thing a couple of laps ago. Greg Van Nice now into 4th place. I'll tell you what, this number 24 continues to get better and better. I've been noticing it in our fantasy game we play here at Pit Stop TV. I've picked him a handful of times. I didn't today. Maybe I should have. I think I might have picked him at Sonoma, though. I did. Battle here for the 3rd spot. Van Nice on the outside. Winstone down low. It's not quite decided just yet. Romano, by the way, is running down Coulter Clark out front. Take a look at this. Lap times back on your screen. Clark in the 54 has run about a 10.5 slower the last couple of laps versus Romano. AC Gross even faster than our race leader as Jordan White continues to work on Doug Scalise and Elijah Mopin. There's your race leader after 33 laps. Chris Romano starting to run him down. You know, we talked about the weather conditions not being super warm this morning and that helping these guys out maybe. I wonder, yeah, the track temp is still low. It's only up to 78 degrees. It's not getting super hot out there. I do wonder why we're seeing this kind of fall off for some and not for others. That just tells you that you can easily burn your stuff up a little bit too early, and you can also maybe save your stuff for a little bit later in the race as Coulter Clark is starting to drop farther back to the 44 of Romano. That'll be a lead change, I think, soon as there continues to be a battle back here. Winstone sliding backwards, make it 5th place now as Casey Gross goes by. Sean Hughes next up in the order. Behind these guys, Jordan White is up ahead of the 66 and the 16, with Thaddeus Friel wrapping up your top 10. And for the race lead, Coulter going to drop low this time in 3 and 4, try a different line. He's been pretty religious to the top side. He's actually pitting. So here comes Coulter Clark to the pit lane. He'll come in for service, and does this bring anybody else? Mark Bender is also in the pit lane. Jordan White, Chris Winstone. White actually continues. Winstone pits. That also brings, it looks like, Doug Scalise and Thaddeus Friel. You see Mark Bender already in the pits down there. And too deep goes the 54. Still adjusting. Coulter Clark going to lose a bunch of time on this pit cycle. You see Winstone, his jack is going to drop first. Winstone's going to have a run here off the pit lane. Watch this. He gets rolling before Coulter Clark. Coulter has a straight shot out of the pits. He'll still stay ahead, but boy, oh boy, that was a botched pit cycle for the 54. Here's Romano into his box. And you see the 75 in behind. That's also Rovillo in the background. So just shy of 40 laps in this opening run. This does put these guys on track for a 4-stop race. Or rather a 4-stint race, a 3-stop race. As Jordan White continues on, Casey Gross leads currently. Gregory Vad Nice into the pit lane. Elijah Mope into the pit lane. Joe Conan continues on as here comes Casey Gross slow into the pit lane. He's going to lose some time in this. Jordan White will follow. See also the 64 into the pits. That's Dakota Siders, the 12 of Chad Fox. There go Fox and Gross. Here comes Jordan White. And he overshoots his box. That's 2 of 3 Whiplash Toyotas having problems here getting into their box. Jordan having to readjust a handful of times, just like his counterpart, Coulter Clark. And look at this. Coulter, Romano, and Winstone all together. And we saw, of course, at the start of the race, the 54 fired off a whole lot better than really anybody else on the racetrack. The 37 with him, but it was certainly Coulter Clark with the advantage. Chris Romano now up here on the short run trying to figure out if he's got the same speed as these guys. He had that long run pace, though. I think if he just kind of buckles down and waits for the race to come to him, he might be in a really good spot for a win this morning. I mean, it's hard to argue with that long run pace, especially at a racetrack like Chicago. By the way, Romano's got 3 wins at this point in the season. That's more than both of the drivers ahead of him in the standings, Zach King and Sean Hughes. Zach not here today, likely going to lose that points lead, I would think, for the first time in several weeks, months even. Battle for the second spot. You see Winston on the inside there, Romano up top. Looking around Tommy and scoring problems for Chad Fox. He's in the pit lane, and the number 12 as these two race for second. Winstone gets the go-ahead. He goes up top, and that puts Romano down low. Surprisingly, Romano's got nothing for the 37 that time through 1 and 2, and Winstone takes off a little bit. There's Chad Fox in the pits. Unsure what happened for him. It's a 44-second stop. And he'll head back out onto the racetrack. Sean Hughes, Casey Gross, that's the battle for 4th. Really, the battle is in your top 3. If we look around the field a little bit, there is Corey Powell. He is a lap down. Actually, he's several laps down, 13 to be exact. As the next car ahead of him would be Chad Fox, 8 laps up the road. He, of course, Powell got that damage in the lap 1 incident with Cameron Combs, who's out of the race. Chad Fox, off the pit lane recently, runs 17th. He's 4 laps down to the leaders. Joe Conan, number 72, currently runs in 16th. He's got some right front damage on his Chevrolet. He's at least up that 1 spot, was as low as 18th, so he's moved up the field a little bit as Dakota Sidrus has gone the opposite direction from 9th back to 15th. He has been struggling since the drop of the green. And is hanging on now in that 15th spot, chasing down Shane Hatfield. These two drivers both 1 lap down, Joe Conan 2 laps down, as Hatfield runs in 14th. Rovillo, the final car in the lead lap currently. There's the number 2. He's on the lead lap, some 6 seconds behind the number 10 of Joseph Essenberg. who runs in 12th. And ahead of them, Mark Bender, the final driver outside of the top 10. I guess you could say the first driver outside the top 10. He runs 11th. Jordan White runs in 10th currently. He had a whole lot of spots gained in that last long run and then made some mistakes on the pit lane. So he's going to work back by guys like Thaddeus Friel, Doug Scalise, and Elijah Mopin. Thaddeus just up the road there in the 98. Started 8th, currently 9th. Not a bad day so far. Doug Scalise runs in the 8th spot. A little farther up the road, there's Elijah Mopin, up 4 positions since the start of the race. Then you'll find the 24 of Greg Van Nice. He runs in 6th. Has that 1 lap led. As Sean Hughes runs in 5th. Casey Gross runs 4th after starting 18th. A big mover for sure. And then we got a battle for 2nd place. Winstone and Romano. Here they are. You see both Winstone and Clark ahead of this 44 car of Romano. And Clark, I think, could have had a pretty sizable lead had he not had those issues getting into his pit box. Instead, he's only a couple of tenths ahead of these two. And if this run goes anything like the previous, he might end up losing some time to these guys. More so the 44 of Romano. I think he's in a really good spot. I think Chris Romano's in the best spot, actually, of the entire top 3, top 5 even. This is easily your best battle on the racetrack. Nobody else as close as these 3 as they continue to fight it out for the race lead. Winstone gonna drop low here. I do wonder how much these two ahead are talking. You know, Clark and Winstone and maybe even Jordan White. You know, they're teammates. They're all in the same Discord chat together, and I wonder if they're trying to coordinate where to go, maybe to hold the 44 car back a little bit. Romano, though, to the inside there through 3 and 4. He's going to have a run on Clark, 3 wide across the line. At the line, I think that might have been Romano. Ooh, watch out. Coulter Clark in the middle, Winstone up top. That nearly went terribly. Clark is going to fall to 3rd. Winstone up to 2nd, back into 2nd. They basically reversed the first 3 spots as Chris Romano takes over lap number 54. And I do believe he got that lap led. That is a huge position gain for the 44 of Chris Romano. 3 wins already this season. Looking to make it 4 as I really thought Coulter Clark was the favorite today. He's got 6 wins this season. Wanted to make it 7, but might have to wait another week. Of course, there's still a lot of racing. Let's not forget, there's still nearly 80 laps to go. But there is clearly a power shift between your top 3. Romano has, I think, got the best car on any kind of longer run. First up to lap for these guys will be the 2 car of Rovillo. There he is, just ahead of him. Would be, I believe, the 12 car actually of Fox. Oh, crash! Big accident! Fox, Van Nice, and Hatfield. Watch out, somebody. Big issues. Greg Van Nice is out of this thing. A massive incident between those 3 drivers. Fox is already towed to the pit lane. Hatfield is just kind of putting around the racetrack right now. He's trying to get low. His car is destroyed. Vad Nice, rather, able to make it down to the pit lane at least. He's going to come in for service. But he's going to be there for a while. What in the world just happened between these guys? So Chad Fox is a lap down. Keep that in mind, as is the 34 of Hatfield. Vad Nice was in the top 10. This is disaster for somebody that continues to look better and better. And, I mean, I don't know where the 12 car is going there. He entered off of the apron. Chad Fox just, I mean, he's running the very inside line, turns left onto the apron. If that isn't intentional, I don't know what is going on there. Here's the onboard from the 12 car. I mean, he just... I have no words. I don't know what he was doing. And that absolutely destroys Greg Vad Nice and Shane Hatfield. I really hate that for the 24. He has been getting so much better lately, having really good runs, and I mean, he just gets taken out seemingly randomly. I don't think it was an intentional crash, but if that wasn't intentional, that raises even more questions about just what the heck was going on there. That wow. Here's Doug Scalise, who has stayed out under this caution. I'll recap that in a second. Scalise points it down to the inside of the racetrack, and take a look at this. Zach Murtis. This is a Murtis Esports mega miss, hanging onto the race car just barely. Able to get by that incident as Elijah Mopin is going to bring us back to the green flag. Mopin, Scalise, Essenberg, and Rovilli, our top 4 have all stayed out under this yellow. Your first car with service will be Romano. He takes 4 tires. And then Sean Hughes takes 2. Coulter Clark, Chris Winstone took 4. It's kind of a good reset. And it's just on the edge. I believe we can do 2 runs from here, 1 pit stop. Gonna be close though for these drivers, and for Mopin, Scalise, Rovillo, and Essenberg, they have done themselves no favors, but they do have some track position in case we get a rash of cautions here. Into the restart zone, Elijah Mopin. And we are back green at Chicagoland. Off turn 4, there's the run for the 66, but you see the battle behind. Look at this, 3 wide of the stripe. That is Coulter Clark in the middle. Essenberg down low, Rovillo up top. Where is Hughes gonna go? He stays middle. Romano going nowhere on those 4 tires, and Winstone working the top side. He might have to check up soon. In the wall, that's Rovillo in the 2 car. Battle for the lead. Mopin and Scalise to the line. It's going to be Scalise across the stripe. Mopin fell back. He hit the wall. And here comes Coulter Clark. Doug Scalise takes over lap 62. Clark gets clear for second. Here comes Hughes to the inside. He's going to make a move down to the inside of turn 3. That'll bring Chris Winstone along with Chris Romano. Jordan White is in this. You see the battle out ahead of the 83 car. 16 loses the lead. He falls back in the middle of this pack, so Clark right back to the top. Everybody trying to get by. Scaleless in the wall. Moped in the wall. Here comes the 77 of Casey Gross, as Hughes and Winstone go at it for second. The racetrack is as busy as ever. Battle still. Winstone has the run. And there goes Winstone. Scaleless, by the way, back to 9th place. He is dropping like a rock. This shows just how advantageous those tires can be. As this is the Hornet's Nest. With Scaleless dropping. Also got Essenberg back here in the 10, and then the 2 of Rovello a lap. Actually, he's on the lead lap. He's right behind here in 12th spot. The lap car in this group with the 92 down there, that is Corey Powell. The car looks to be a whole lot better than it was just a little while ago, as he now runs in 17th. Essenberg and Scaleless continue to fight, but up front, Coulter Clark trying to get away with this race lead. Battle for third. Hughes and Romano off the corner. Romano loose down through the grass. Can he hang on to it? He's going to slide. And Romano's around in the grass. Full spin there for car 44. No caution. Winstone to the lead. What's happening here? Clark gets back out ahead. Winstone got ahead for a moment. I think he got the wall. And there goes Hughes on the inside. Here comes Jordan White in the 83. Casey Gross, he's in this fight now. Winstone's got damage. He's falling back in a hurry. Jordan White up into a podium position. And this racetrack is maybe as busy as ever. We'll take a look back at what happened to Romano and then Winstone. The Chris's having crises. Here's a look at Romano. He just gets loose down through the grass. We saw the rest. And then here's Winstone. He had a run, took it down underneath the 54 into turn 1. Goes up the racetrack. And you see Hughes gets tight. Coulter right back through the middle. And Winstone has since dropped off to 5th position. Jordan White, that's good for 2nd. So the Whiplash Toyota is getting back in control, this time with Coulter Clark and Jordan White out front. Winstone back in 5th. And up the racetrack that time, Coulter Clark might be losing this lead. Jordan White to the inside. And Jordan's got the point into turn 1. Can he make the pass? The Jamaican sensation has come from the very back of the field, started dead last because he started from the pit lane. Sean Hughes just behind. Jordan working the inside. And there goes the 83 to the point. Problems. Winstone to the pit lane. He has got a ton of right side damage. And he's coming in early. This is going to completely throw off his strategy. I'm really not sure if there's any benefit to coming in here other than to fix damage. But I say that, and Scaleless is in as well. Coulter Clark, he's going to fall down to 3rd. Sean Hughes around the outside. And here comes the 54 back to the inside, Coulter Clark. And how about this, for a late arrival, Zach Murtis from vacation has decided to fire up the tablet and join in the booth here for a little while. And Zach, I know you've been watching at least a little bit in the background. It has been an absolutely crazy sequence since the most recent restart. In fact, we're even watching a battle now between Mark Bender and Thaddeus Friel. Absolutely one of the more wild races we've seen in a while.
Yeah, it's been pretty chaotic so far. I've been keeping track with everything, just seeing how it's all playing out, and went and talked to a couple of the Whiplash guys to see how they were running as well. So it's been a pretty eventful race so far, I can say that for certain.
Oh, in the wall! I think that's Corey Powell. Hard impact.
Oh, that right front is broken on that race car.
He's got a lot more to worry about than just the right front. And yeah, it's the second time he's had major right front damage this morning, and he's just going to have to pull that down to the grass and tow it back. I mean, there's no way that makes it back, right?
Well, if he's got the car rolling still, more than likely he can get it back, but
not sure if there's any
he's going to have a pretty
difficult
difficult time. The hood's up on that race car, the right front's disconnected, so he's not able to turn as well. He's mainly relying on that left front.
He's not the only one suddenly in trouble. Doug Scalise has been in the pit lane now for over 2 minutes nearly. You see the box time approaching 2 minutes, so major issues within just the last couple of minutes here in this race. As you see a couple more cars hitting the pit lane. Let's go back and see what happened to the 92. This is actually just after the crash. He was just on the inside of a couple of the cars we were watching. Those being Bender and Friel.
Actually going down into the corner here. So it happens on the front straightaway off the four. Oh, he just snaps loose and gets down the apron and overcorrects. Oh, big hit to the wall.
It's a beefy one. And then Scalise, he's been down in the pit lane for a little while. I don't think he towed. He's still not on the racetrack. I just want to see if there was an incident leading up to this. And there may have been. Here's off of turn 2, where he suddenly gets a little bit slower. No issue. Then he brings it down to the pit lane. I'm still caught off guard by the pit stop we saw out of Windstone, but things are changing at the front of the field. Jordan White has taken over Sean Hughes, Coulter Clark, and Casey Gross, and all four of these guys very close together. I feel like any one of them could win the race at this point in time, and as this race draws further into darkness, I don't think the 54 is getting any better on this long run. I mean, we know Coulter is a very capable sim racer. I'm honestly surprised to see him this far off on the long run compared to guys like Sean Hughes, Casey Gross, Chris Romano. They all seem to be better than him on the long run.
Yeah, I mean, as this run continues on, it's going to make this track change a little bit more. As really tight racing in the wall goes Coulter Clark as Gross goes on by. Slips right back down the apron, going to try to cross him up, going down into turn number 1. These guys are not really giving each other an inch right now. I say that as they give themselves about a lane between each other in 1 and 2, and falling in line, Clark behind Gross. So that's going to dissolve pretty quickly. I'm sure Coulter's going to want to get back to it, because you never really like it when you get forced into the wall from racing.
And we know race car drivers remember things. They've got great memories when it comes to who has wronged them on the racetrack. Maybe not so great memories all the time as far as who's done right by them, but still decent memories as you see the sun drawing lower and lower in the sky down off of turns 3 and 4. I will say, a very humid day here at Chicagoland. You see the 95% humidity. A little bit of fog out there as well. It is a little difficult to see the race cars from distances all day long, but it almost looks like it's getting worse. So, These somewhat lower temperatures, the high humidity, it is a sticky one out there for these guys on the racetrack, and using the advantage of that sticky has been the 83 of Jordan White. Started from the pit lane after the, I don't want to say penalty at Sonoma, Zach, but you know, we saw what happened with him driving technically backwards on the alternate layout of the course, and he was still awarded the win, but had to start from the pit lane today, and anybody else who does the same will not be so lucky.
Yeah, I'm sure Jourdain is going to remember to wait until everyone crosses the finish line before he starts doing something a little off the cusp, I say. I know you kind of told him, as one of the Whiplash drivers, to be a little bit more, I don't want to say spatially aware, but definitely more aware of what's going on the racetrack, and I'm sure he learned his lesson. And wonderful, that's a big old entry right there from Coulter Clark. Did he even make it to the pit lane?
Well, he's on the pit lane, but I think he's going to face the same fate as his teammate, Chris Winstone. Winstone, look at that pit time. That looks like a penalty to me.
At least 2 laps down, too.
Yeah, that looks like some kind of penalty there for the 45-second stop for Winstone. Almost like he came in for fuel only, maybe, to extend his run, but sped on the way in. I'm not really sure. That or he was fixing a lot of damage. But that does not look good for the 37. Meanwhile, Coulter Clark, let's see, does he have that penalty? Yep. Speeding, for sure.
Or an unsafe entry. That was very, very close to the commitment
line.
Or both. Or both. So that's going to be something they're going to have to deal with, and realistically speaking, they're just going to have to wait for the green flag stops to cycle through and hope for a quick caution. Otherwise, they're going to end up being trapped 2 laps down, and we've got 3 cars currently 1 lap down. That's Mopin, Eisenberg, and Ravillo.
Riding on board, 5th place, Thaddeus Friel Jr. Putting together a decent race. Currently trying to run down the 33 of Mark Bender. Coulter Clark, by the way, back on the racetrack. There goes Chris Winstone ahead. And the time now to Winstone, a little over 2 seconds as the 54 rejoins the race course in 12th position, 2 full laps behind the race leaders. Nearly 3, as White is at a turn 3 now. And there's Clark out of turn 4 on the front straightaway. So this race completely thrown out the window. The 3 favorites from the beginning of the day, Clark, Winstone, and Romano, they are all deeper in the field. Romano at least in the lead lap. But he is much farther back now. Has a lot more work to do if this thing goes green. So really it comes down to the top 3 or 4, I would say. White, Hughes, Gross, and Friel. This is a very different race from about 80 laps ago.
That's the beauty of racing. The complexity of it just changes here and there and everywhere. And you know, as we roll through this cycle, you can see that Hughes is starting to close in a little bit more on Jourdain White. The top 3 just pulling themselves closer and closer together. Friel is a full 10 seconds behind this fight, too. So the top 3 right now have yet to make their stop, and this is what I was talking about. These guys are going to be relying on a little bit further back in the field. So Clark and Winstone, obviously, are going to be relying on the fact that a quick caution comes out while they're getting their laps back. So the guys who are 1 lap down right now will go ahead past the leaders, get their laps back during the green flag cycle, which would either allow Clark and Winstone to put themselves 1 lap down or just be eligible for the free pass to begin with. So my hypothetical situation plays on the fact that the race is most certainly not over. We've still got just over 40 laps to go.
So watching the 83, starting to gap the 75 and 77 just a little bit, and looking back over the standings within the league, of course, we saw the several wins for Coulter Clark this season. The few as well for Chris Romano. In fact, let's go ahead and just bring the graphic back up. Here it is. Mike Alley has the win, Justin Young has the win, but I mean, a lot of drivers just kind of still searching for that first one of the season. And surprisingly, Zach, I'd say Sean Hughes was due for a lot more wins. If you go back to when he won his first race back at Darlington earlier this season, it felt like he was going to have a whole lot more on the way, and it just has not gone that way. Has not won since the spring race at Darlington. Zach King only has the one this season, yet they're on top of the standings. I'm not sure for how much longer, as Romano has been looking great. He's got 3 wins. Clark has got 6. White with 3 now. Cameron Combs even 2 wins. And we still got Watkins, or no, we don't have Watkins Glen to go. I guess we have the Roval to go for Chris Winstone, potentially to have a leg up on a road course. As there goes Jordan White to the pit lane. This is going to change things up a little bit more. This is right on the edge of making it to the end. There's 40 laps to go. I'm not sure if White is going to make it from here. We saw about 38 laps the first run.
I joined a little late, so you're probably going to have to remind me of what the fuel run is here for these guys right now.
That's what I was just saying. We saw about 38 laps in the first run. That was with a caution. So, this is on the edge, I feel like, for the 83 car. He's not alone, though. Sean Hughes comes in as well, just though the following lap. So, an extra lap in the tank for the 75 car. Wonder now when Casey Gross might come in. Here's the 44, though, of Chris Romano coming in for service. And there's Casey Gross in the background, into the pit lane. Jordan White has cycled through. He's back out there. He will take the race lead back away, this time into turn 1. And the thing is now, he's got to try and manage this fuel to the end. Do we see some saving? Some traditional clutch in, let the engine wind down, maybe even shut it off into the corner. No saving here from Jourdain, but I don't notice a downshift. So that is going to save some fuel as well. And, you know, at the start of the race, Zach, we very well may have been all shifting to get to that 38 lap number, as this time into turns 1 and 2, Jourdain should take the race lead back away. There is Casey Gross, I think. Yes. And so Jourdain takes the lead back away. But no downshifts there, and I wonder if that will get him to the end on fuel. By the way, 5 cars out of the race currently, out of the 19 that started. Those are Powell, Van Nuys, Hatfield, Fox, and Combs. Hatfield's still in the session, but 42 laps down, 23 minutes in the pit lane. I don't expect him back on the racetrack anytime soon. So to go back to front like we did a little while ago, here's Joe Conan in the number 72. He is 14 laps down at the moment. I'm not sure what put him this far back. I don't recall any large incidents with the 72 car. But 14 laps down, he most recently spent a little over 7 minutes in the pit lane. That was about 27 laps ago. Doug Scalis next up the road. He is 4 laps down after his brief stint in the pits. I say brief, it was over 2 minutes. He is now 12th, 2 laps behind the next car up. That would be Chris Winstone, who runs in 12th. He is 9 seconds behind Coulter Clark, despite Coulter initially being behind him when Coulter hit the racetrack again. There goes Chris Romano by him. Chris Romano, by the way, runs 9th, 20 seconds behind the leaders. There is Coulter Clark. He's got 54 laps led, but he is in 11th spot, a lap down and change, and is going to need a caution to get back in this race. Dakota Sidris, by the way, has put a decent race together after his early issues. Dakota running in 10th, but he is next up on the chopping block to go a lap down, as there's Chris Romano passing Michael Rovillo for the 8th spot. Joseph Essenberg runs ahead. Conan, by the way, hitting the pit lane one more time. There's Bender in 6th. He's racing with Thaddeus Friel here, Zach, into turn number 1. This is for 5th position. Bender's got the spot ahead.
Rolling just fine on the bottom line. Bit of a crossover move right here, looking back to the inside. Friel is not there yet, but he's going to try to send it down here into turns 3. Easy up off the corner, going to stay single file, so not much of a change right there. Just seeing where they can put these cars right now. Bender staying in the draft of Mopin in front of him. Trying to see if maybe he can pull away from that 98, which he will, just a tad. They're all spaced out pretty evenly down the back straightaway. I mean, this is a textbook case of how to drive these race cars, Andrew. The dirty air is one of the biggest things that have been talked about constantly when it comes to really just stock car racing. I mean, there were people in 2004 complaining about dirty air, and we see how great those cars run. So it's just trying to find where you can place that race car right now and see, what's going to be able to work to your advantage as you chase down the car in front.
"30 laps to go this next time around the speedway. Jordan White currently leads. A lot of question marks around the race currently, Zach, and we've got to start to figure things out with Driver of the Day nominations. And frankly, I don't know where to begin, as there you see Conan getting back on the racetrack. He lost a couple more laps. Make that 18 laps down now for the 72. Thaddeus Friel, I've been watching him since he joined the league. He's from the same area of Arizona as I am originally, and it would be very good to see a good finish for this 98 car. I've been trying to pick him a lot more in fantasy. I believe I picked him today. I did. Coulter Clark, Elijah Mopin, and Thaddeus Friel. Mopin runs in 4th rather. Friel runs in 6th. And you heard the clutch in that time, by the way, from Thaddeus. He is saving fuel. He pitted 2 laps earlier than Jordan White. There's the clutch it again. Drop the revs a little bit. Clutching again. There you see the revs.
Well, this is going to play into his favor. If he would have been leading the race and had pitted early and went to save fuel, then I would not necessarily be against a strategy like this, but he's running 5th. He's 12 seconds off the race lead. The next closest car to him is about 4 seconds behind, and that's Romano, about 5 seconds realistically. I don't fully see the game plan here, but I guess at this point it's more so.
Oh! Friel into Bender! There's the caution! Everything changes once again. The guys saving fuel make a mistake. The caution is out and everybody gets to reset. This is going to save Dakota Sidris. Not even Coulter Clark. Dakota Sidris, the first lap down. Clark is going to need fuel, and Chris Winstone had just pitted. He's now 3 laps down. I still don't know exactly why Winstone pitted when he did, and unfortunately, this just buries him deeper and deeper in the field. Let's see, there's the contact again, and the result of it mostly. Mark Bender into the wall. We'll get another look at it. And here's the run into turn 1. Thaddeus just entered low, swept up the racetrack right into the 33 car. Bender takes the brunt of it, of course, and man, oh man. Everything suddenly has changed in this race. This is going to bring everybody down the pit lane as well. Although, no, it's not. Casey Gross and Sean Hughes stay out.
That's a bad call right there, in my opinion. You've got to get tires on that race car.
I agree. At the same time, if we have another caution, they might be in a decent spot, but I still think you've got to pit here. I don't think you can afford not to. But they will both stay out, Gross and Hughes. White should be first back on the racetrack here. There goes Clark. He is still lapped. Mopin gets off quick. Jordan White is taking extra time. Did he speed?
I would certainly hope not. Oh, buddy.
No, not speeding. I think just extra service for the 83. I'm a little confused by it. That's ditching all of your track position right before what could be the run to the end for, 25 or less laps. A lot of head scratchers all the way around right now. Thaddeus Friel will pack back up, but something tells me he may be headed to the rear of the field. As it'll be Casey Gross and Sean Hughes out front. Let's see if we can dial up one of those two drivers. Go ahead and talk to the 75 here briefly. If I can find him, well, find his way into the booth. Wait. Every booth is in a different spot in every Discord server we broadcast from. Here we go. Let's go to the bottom of the server. Let's bring in Sean Hughes for a quick word. And Sean, you and Casey both stay out here. I'm wondering why.
Yeah, just trying to get track position. I think if we can get a good restart, we can kind of drive away.
14 lap older tires than these guys that just pitted. Obviously, if we get a caution, it gives you a chance to get tires. Do you think you can hang on to it, though, over them?
Yeah, I'm just trying to wave at my gas. I'm about a lap short. I think I can save enough.
Well, Sean, best of luck on this restart. Good talking to you. Hopefully we're talking to you in a little bit.
Thank you.
Sean Hughes back up to his teammate. He's working with Chris Romano. Romano on the other side of things. He just pitted. Has new tires for this restart as the lights come on here at Chicagoland. 24 laps to go. Green flag back in the air. A bad restart for Hughes. That's going to bury him even deeper on this one as Casey Gross gets away. And sideways is the 64 of Sidrus. He gets back on the racetrack. Sean Hughes trying to hang on. He's still alongside the 44 for now, but Zach, those tires just cannot hang on for very long.
I don't think they're going to hang on for very much longer at all. These guys are going to be ripping around the top side. Got to be watching Jordan White. I know he's going to want to get back to the front.
Gotta watch those guys on the inside, though.
Rolling right now.
Gonna watch those guys down low who have those older tires. He'll get by Hughes into turn 3, it looks like. You don't want to get caught on the outside of one of them if they're running low in the corner because they can get tight just like that. Hughes up the racetrack. White hit the wall on his own, but man, it's very easy to get caught in between the wall and one of these cars on old tires. Casey Gross still leading. I just don't know for how much longer as we rocket towards 20 laps to go.
And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it now. If you're going to go to the apron, you've got to commit down there. And we saw Jordan jump down there and get 2 tires on the apron, get 2 tires on the racing surface. Great way to snap that car around. But he gained a lot of ground as one car down to the bottom. That's Romano taking the lead over Gross. He's not fully clear yet, so that's going to pull Jordan back in. That's going to pull Hughes back in. And they're just ripping down in turn 1, 20 laps to go next time by.
Coulter Clark still needs a caution. He's 1 lap down, but closing in on this fight as Casey Gross gets the go-ahead back on the top side. Jordan White going to go low here to turn 3. Sends it down to the inside of Chris Romano. And this feels like the race for the win, Zach. The 44 and 83, they've both got tires.
Well, they're going to have to get by Gross here down into turn 1. They all run a different line. Gross went to the bottom. Romano went closer to the top. Jordan stays kind of in between the two of them. And here comes Romano with a big run down to the inside. Gonna get side by side, run down to the corner. He's gonna try to send it again and clear Gross up to the top side, still hanging on. He's still there, Andrew.
I thought he would have had him cleared that time. No dice. They stay racing at the front. Romano hits the white line that time through 1 and 2 once again, and they just stay in this lockstep formation. Now Romano falls back a little bit. And you know what? If you're Romano, if you're white right here, you can probably afford to lay back a little bit. Let these laps count off. You guys don't want a caution. You want this to go green because you know your tires are going to kick in as Gross is loose off the nose of Romano. He's going to save it. He got loose on his own, got the bump from Romano, and Jourdain White is going to take over just like that, Zach. It's that matter of patience. Let the guys burn up their tires and have issues, and sure enough, Jourdain White to the race lead. Romano drops to third. He's now racing with Mopin as look at the 75 into P2.
And Coulter Clark, second on track, but right now sitting 10th on the field. I'm sure he wants to go up there and catch Jourdain White. I saw one car hit the wall off of turn 4. We stay green, we're still rolling.
How about that for a bit of added drama? Could this be 2 in a row for Jourdain White? The lights are coming on. You just saw the little bit of a glitch there as these guys stuttered for a moment as the lights came on. Oh boy, Zach. It is that time, though, for North American Racing League Driver of the Day nominations. This has been a wild, wild race this morning. I don't think any bit of this has gone to at least my expectations. Obviously, I know you've only watched, parts, right? Not the full thing necessarily?
No, I tuned in for the initial start of the race, and then I was here for a few laps in the middle.
Well, I'll still give you the floor for at least one of the first picks. As Romano takes over second place from Sean Hughes. I think that was inevitable, but Romano buried a 2.25 seconds behind your race leader.
I think for my picks so far, trying to think about who's moved up throughout the field, who's had some great days so far. I think a safe pick would be to go with Hughes for starters. He's done a great job right now to stay out there on those older tires. He's still running in that third spot. In fact, he's still about half a second up on Mopin right now in that fourth spot. So it looks like he might be able to keep rolling and keep his head up overall and salvage a really good day. And then I think for my second pick, I'd have to go with Romano. Running really good in the second spot. He's been running pretty consistently all day. He's only been as low as 13th, which, isn't the greatest in the world, but he's rallied back, started from the fourth spot up to second. I think he's got a good shot at rallying for driver of the day today.
If you're not going to take the race leader, I've got to take the guy who's in position to win this race. Romano is starting to catch him, but only 12 laps to go. He's got the lead spot. I'm going to give the edge to Jourdain White here currently, and I mean, especially to go from starting from the pit lane to have led now over 40 laps of this race and be in position to win it potentially with 12 to go. That's a great day for him, and I'm going to go... Man, there's a couple of options, really good options. Rovillo's a great option today. I'm going to give him an honorable mention because he has had an up and down day. He's been a lap down recently. He's back on the lead lap. He's 5th. So a great day for Rovillo at the end of it here, but I'm going to go Elijah Mopin for the final driver of the day pick, and I think this just makes sense. He's running 4th, right behind the other 3 we nominated. And he's got a couple of laps led. He's up here in 4th. He started back at 11th, so he's gone through a good portion of the field, been into the lead already a couple of times, and I do like where the 66 is headed in this race, plus he's on my fantasy team, so bonus points to him for that, I guess. As I will say, Zach, the lead is starting to tighten up as we get that driver of the day vote live over on YouTube. Casey Gross, Dakota Sidrus are battling deeper in the field, 7th and 8th. These guys a little bit off the pace, unfortunately. You see the contact, the damage for the 77 of Gross. As Romano continues to try and get around the 54. Do we think this is a little bit of team order, Zach?
Maybe.
I think this is a little bit of Coulter Clark kind of protecting for his teammate, trying to buy Jourdain some time here. If he can't win, at least get his teammate the win, as they're going to make contact. Oh. Romano gave Clark a shove there. Huh.
They don't seem very happy with each other at the moment.
I'd love to hear driver radio currently. Oh!
Down. Romano pitched him way down.
More contact into turn 3. Clark took the apron there. Of course, he is a lap down. Romano took the block. Off the corner now. Romano kind of flinches up the racetrack, and, you know, I get Romano's frustration, but all he's doing is giving Jourdain more time.
That he is, and Sean Hughes is working his way into the mix as well, as Coulter's going to have a big run and shoot up to the bumper. I thought he was going to roll down to the bottom there for a moment. And Romano now completely by himself, away from Coulter Clark. One has to wonder what, like what you talked about, Andrew, what driver radio is going to be saying about anything going on between the two of them.
Likely a lot of words that we cannot play on the broadcast.
I don't disagree.
And I'd imagine the league Discord will be lit up as well here in the matter of about 5 more laps. Thaddeus Friel and Mike Rovella, this is the battle for 5th currently. Friel has put together a pretty quiet but solid day. Of course, we saw him working through the field a little while ago. A top 5 would kind of cap things off really nicely for the original Arizonan from the same area as both myself and Bully Dog Coffee. A big thank you again to Mike Bowler, Patrick Bowler. Mike Bowler, Patrick. It's Patrick. It's Patrick. It's definitely Patrick. I'm getting names crossed up. Yes, it's Patrick Bowler. I knew it was one of the two. Getting confused by Mike Rovello here in the 2 car, though, as here comes Thaddeus Friel to the inside. And the 98 has got the nose ahead at the stripe. And he'll have the 2 car cleared into turn number 1. So everybody, if they don't have their coffee going, they're certainly going to want it for the end of this race. This is going to be a bit of a wake-up call in and of itself. Jourdain White, 3 laps away from a 2nd straight win. It would be 4 on the season if he can just close it out.
Yeah, and the closest fight on the racetrack right now is just for that 5th and 6th position. Friel takes another look to the inside on Rovella, who's going to slide way up the racetrack. That's going to be pretty inviting on corner exit. Maybe not. Rovella gets a good gap. As Friel's going to try the high side now. He's going to roll that middle line and see if he can work it way around the 2 car.
That was an audible, too. He initially pointed low and then kind of checked the wheel back to the right.
Well, he's got to try something if he wants to get this position on the 2 car. Meanwhile, Jourdain White, he has got himself clean air in front. He's got nothing to worry about. And as he rolls back to the start-finish line, it's going to be the flag that he wanted to see in the first place. White flag is in the air, 1 lap to go, presented by Whiplash Simcams. He's got a full 1 second gap back to Chris Romano. He's got no lap cars in front of him, Andrew, and he has got to be thinking, let's not pull a last week incident one more time.
2 weeks ago, it was the Sonoma Raceway, the road course up in Northern California. This morning, Jourdain White is going to punch another W on through here at Chicagoland Speedway. Jourdain White, the race winner at Chicagoland. What a day for him to go from starting from the pit lane to winning this race under the lights. And he'll get the congratulatory nod there from teammate Coulter Clark. a fantastic effort by driver 83, and of course we know he's pretty well and good in the chase at this point, but this is only going to help his case, especially going into next week's All-Star race at Dover Motor Speedway, where he got his first win of the season back in the spring. And Chris Romano, frustration, I can only imagine, boiling up for the 44 car. So he's got to watch the 83 come around onto the front straightaway with an opportunity. There you go, Zach. He completed the cool-down lap before celebrating.
Yeah, we know that Sonoma incident is still fresh in his mind, but I'm sure he is very happy to be celebrating once again, taking the victory here at Chicagoland.
That's enough to scar you just a little bit, right? I mean, that's something you simply will not forget once it happens once.
It's part of how racing is. You know, you do everything right and you put yourself on cloud nine, and sometimes when you're that high, it's pretty easy to fall off. And once you do fall, you have that in your mind that you don't want to fall again. So Jourdain definitely taking the notes and taking the lessons that he's learned and celebrating once again in the All-American Racing Network. And, well, as you said, he's pretty locked into the case at this point. He's going to celebrate every moment.
As he deserves to. He burns it down here on the front stretch at Chicagoland Speedway. The Jamaican sensation maybe coming alive right when he needs to before this season's chase gets going. 4 wins now on the season, 2 in a row in the AARN. That is a big, big win for him. We can take a look back at your unofficial race results this morning from Chicagoland Speedway. It is still morning here on the East Coast. I can only imagine what these West Coast guys go through to run these races, but Jourdain White with the race win today. Chris Romano, Sean Hughes, your top 3. I'll be talking to each of them hopefully in just a few moments as Elijah Mopin and Michael Rovillo complete your top 5. Hey, again, great run for the 2 car to have those issues early, be a lap down at one point in time, recover, get back into the top 5. A great run from the 2 car. Thaddeus Real has to settle for 6th. AC Gross 7th. Dakota Sidrus, also a great recovery for him to be the cause, really, of that first caution. And then still have a couple of moments down the backstretch, some issues, and get back up here into the top 10. 8th place today, great recovery there. Mark Bender, 9th place, final car in the lead lap. And then Coulter Clark, out of a consultation, what's the word? Consolation. There we go. Consolation in 10th place. I mean, not the race he should have had, but after the pit stop issues, I don't think he's going to turn it down, as you see Essenberg and Winstone there, 11th and 12th. Winstone, oh boy, yeah, that just unfortunate. Looking back, actually, in the team chat now with Chris Winstone and Coulter Clark, and Coulter saying insane fumble on his part, and Winstone agreeing for himself. Doug Scalise ends up 13th, 5 laps down there at the end. And you see the rest of these guys out of the race early. Conan, I think, finished, but 18 laps down, and then everybody else out much, much earlier, as we'll talk with our top 3 here. Zach, Jourdain White first up, and second race in a row, I should say. 2 weeks ago, it was the road course at Sonoma. Today, though, Jourdain, how about Chicagoland Speedway? Did you wake up expecting to win this race?
I mean, if you look at BRB Fantasy, no. I mean, it was a great race, but I mean, I did AFIX last week, and shout out to Zach Lockhart, because he taught me a good bit about this next gen car last week, meeting him randomly in an AFIX race, and he's a part of, Whiplash Sim Games. He's a friend of yours, and it was pretty awesome seeing him or getting the tips from him and putting them to work today.
Yeah, Zach Lockett is a great guy. He's pretty local to me actually in the real world too, which makes that kind of fun. But Jordan, I mean, 54 laps led, and the day obviously did not start looking like that, right? You had to start from the pit lane after everything that happened at Sonoma, which I'm sure you'll never forget again. But 54 laps led. At the end of it, you had to drive through some pretty crazy scenarios. Of course, the late caution there really threw things for a whirl. Were you good on fuel before that?
Oh no. And I was trying to save it at first because I saw the two behind me were saving. But then I was like, that's like 3 laps. That's like 5 laps, you know? So I was like, should I just push it and try and pull as much as I can and do like a splash and go? But yeah, it didn't matter anyways. And for Sonoma, you mentioning that, as you can see, after the checkered flag, I did one more extra lap after the extra lap to make sure, just for you, Andrew.
We noticed you took the extra lap just to be absolutely sure, and hey, you did 135 then. I guess we'll give you 55 laps led today, and of course, next up we go to a track that you won at back in the spring. That's Dover Motor Speedway, albeit for the All-Star race, and it's gonna be for points still, but it's gonna have a wild kind of format. How do we feel about that one next week?
I mean, if it was hot as it was last time, I mean, I'm a fan of the concrete, unless it's Nashville. So it should be very fun for me. I like those types of racetracks where tires matter because, I mean, tires mattered today, and it kind of showed that on the long run, I was really good with managing my stuff. So
I'm trying to
that's always
find
good.
the actual format that that Doug and I came up with for this All-Star race again. But it's going to be an interesting one. Here we go. I think I just found it. And let's see. We're going to have the All-Star Open of 25 laps. There will be some bonus points paid for that. Then an all-transferring heat race. That's going to have all drivers. So the Open is for drivers without a win, I believe. Honestly, I don't know. We'll find out. But regardless, some heat racing next week at Dover. That's going to spice things up. The feature is 100 laps. I mean, how do we feel about that race in general? Kind of having that, I guess, the heat race structure. I know you're just talking about the temperature there for that race and everything. If it's hot, it'd be great. But with the heat race part specifically, kind of keeping the runs shorter.
I mean, if the runs are that short, I don't know how good of a car I will have. I mean, I will be quick, but I feel like my thing right now is just bring that long run speed, you know? I mean, my car is blown away. It might have to stay progressive next week, so, we'll see.
There you go. Jordan White, second win in a row here on the All-American Racing Network. 54, or I guess 55 laps led today at Chicagoland. And Jordan, congrats. Hopefully we're talking to you again soon.
Yep. Heck yeah. So, to shout out some sponsors, Whiplash Simcams, Murtis Esports. Also want to shout out McConey Setup Shop. Shout out the LLC. They weren't on the car because I forgot to update it. And I should say I don't know how. So someone might have to show me after. ATVO as well, Pit Stop TV, CC's Business, GTM, just everybody. Shout out S Hotels. I think Jaden Harrison might have been watching from the S Hotels group. And yeah, hopefully next week is a great showing. Shout out to all my competitors. Coulter, he had some issues, especially with the tire wear. I want to run through with him and Winstone what I was doing different with my throttle inputs and stuff. But yeah, have a great rest of your day, everyone.
There you go. Jordan White with the win at Chicagoland. And Zach, that means next up is a driver that I'd imagine is going to be a little bit fiery after everything that happened there in the final 30 laps. Chris Romano felt like it multiple times. He had a leg up to maybe win this race. Here he is.
Yeah, Chris Romano. I think you already know where I'm going to go with this, and I'm just going to ask straight up, what happened there between you and Coulter Clark at the end that took you a little bit further down the running order, at least in terms of time, from Jordan White?
I mean, I didn't really lose too much. I think it was like half a second. I was able to gain it back. I think at the end, if I didn't maybe butt heads with Coulter a little bit, I probably would have been there at the end. But it was a good race. Jordan, Coulter was being a good teammate. I respect that. Just also he's laps down, and it'd be nice to let the leaders maybe run to the finish. But I totally understand why he was racing me hard like that. I guess I got to the point where I had to get going, and he wasn't letting me go, so I gave him a door. Yeah, that's what happened. And that's not how I raced. I know that's not how I raced, but it's just time was ticking.
Completely understandable in that regard. And, rolling out of Chicagoland, I think you can take solace in the fact that you definitely had a good strategy, putting yourself on fresh tires and putting yourself at the front of the field. I will say, did it feel more like an uphill battle towards the end, since you had the older tires out in front, Gross spun a little bit up the road, and was it just like kind of fighting through a bit of a hornet's nest, or do you think maybe you had a little bit more left in the tank that could have been utilized?
I was pushing pretty hard. I was actually surprised how well Casey was able to hold the ground on those old tires. I get to his inside, but I just didn't have to drive off. He had that outside line, and I was running inside the whole race, so I just really didn't want to do that outside because I was also trying to save my tires for Jourdain a little bit. But so he got loose in front of me, which stunk. He already apologized. I apologized to him too. I tried to keep it off of him, and looked like he saved it, so I gassed up, and then he started to kick loose again, and I think I spun him. But yeah, that slowed me down a bit, and then just that all day I was able to save tires pretty good. Had a good long run car. I think one of the faster cars. I had one mistake where I got loose coming off, which really screwed me up as well. But just learn, move on, learn, and yeah.
Sounds like a solid plan, and you definitely have stuff to build on coming out of Chicagoland. So congratulations on your second place finish. Hopefully we'll be talking to you again at the next race.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. And then third place finisher up next, Andrew. I'm sure he is ready and waiting and standing by.
It's actually not. Sean Hughes actually disconnected from the server a little bit ago. So we don't have Sean Hughes to talk to, but we'll go ahead and grab fourth place Elijah Mopin, who also was on my fantasy team and ends up getting me the most points of anybody today. Elijah, 3 laps led for you, fourth place, a pretty solid but quiet day. What was it like out there behind the wheel?
Oh man, I've been waiting for a run like this since Daytona. The car was pretty tight early on, but just as the race went on, it got better and better and better. I don't know if I would have been able to contend for the win, but I knew I had a top 5 car, and oh man, like I said, I've just been waiting for Daytona for a run like this, and I'm just super grateful that luck and the strategy finally worked out for me.
Definitely a bunch of points this morning to go towards your season. I'm looking over at the points that were actually just released by Doug. And it's going to help you, actually. You're now above the cut line. Going into Dover next week, you end up passing Corey Powell for that spot. So, that's obviously huge, right? I mean, how does that change the game plan for these next couple of weeks for you?
Oh man, I mean, just keep pushing forward. Just keep on pushing forward. We got great momentum, and on top of that, I actually recently joined Corey Powell and Ideal Racing too. So, super grateful for them giving me this opportunity. It's definitely helped out being a part of an actual team, and I just can't thank them enough. And I got to thank Zach King too. He was pretty instrumental in getting me on board too. I was running part-time in another league with Ideal, and things just kept building up and up, and I ended up joining Ideal. So again, to Corey Powell and everyone with Ideal Racing, thank you so much. Like this has changed everything for me, and I just can't thank you guys enough.
Elijah, it's good to talk to you as always. Great run today, and hey, hopefully we're talking to you again soon with a couple more of these finishes.
All right, thank you. Big shout out to all the sponsors: Ideal Family LLC, Carolina Wheel Repair, Major League Sim Racing, Bird Wraps, Team Ignition. They're the reason why the team is going. And big shout out to Bully Dog Coffee for supporting the series. Thank you, everyone.
certainly need to go brew a pot of coffee here as well. But Elijah goes 4th place here today, and that's a great way, I think, to continue his season, get above the cut line. Zach, I mean, now I was just looking at it, what, 5 points above the cut line? It looks like 4 points. 4 points above the cut line now, Elijah Mopin. So the battle into Dover next week is going to be a lot of fun to watch between those two specifically. And Greg Van Nice is still just above it since he had the bad day today. The crash with Chad Fox, which again was just puzzling at best. And then Mike Ravillo suddenly got a whole lot closer with his top 5 finish today. So he is suddenly getting back in the territory of making the chase this season. I do think today might be the nail in the coffin for guys like Thaddeus Friel and Chris Winstone. Just not enough points for those guys. I don't think they're going to make it at this point, but we'll certainly stay hopeful and see if they can by the end of this regular season, Zach. And I mean, it's coming up quick. We are not very far away at this point from Daytona to cap off this regular season and Darlington to kick off the chase.
Yeah, just a few more races left to go. Realistically, we just keep going closer and closer and closer, ticking the laps away, ticking the races away. Obviously, you said we've got Dover up next, and then you go to Indy, Iowa, Richmond, Loudon. Just really, really technical tracks, and then some more super speedway-esque tracks with Michigan and Daytona. So I think everybody's looking forward to getting it all knocked out and getting square into racing for a championship.
So I'm looking over the format, by the way, for Dover next week. And the Open is for drivers only outside of the chase so far to give them a bonus. So that means Elijah Mopin is now not in that, but Corey Powell is. So Corey Powell can get the bonus of 10 points for winning that 25-lap Open race. And then we'll switch sessions and go into an all-transferring heat race. That'll be 25 laps, open to all drivers. Everybody makes it in. There is a 5-point bonus for winning that heat race. That will set the lineup for the 100-lap feature race, where we will invert the top 10. Everybody 11th on back will start in the same spot. They finish the heat race, and then we'll go racing for 100 laps. It'll be a full championship points-paying race with just 2 change tire sets. And a green flag pit stop with a 4-tire change is required. I'm also seeing that the horsepower is going to be reduced slightly. Not increased, but reduced. And then the fuel percentage is not quite set just yet. That is going to be an interesting race. There's a lot going on there, a lot of moving parts. I worked with Doug Scalos on some parts of it to have something unique. He wanted it to count for points. I think we're accomplishing the unique part, Zach. That's a format that I have never seen anybody else run in any kind of points race, or all-star race for that matter.
It's certainly an interesting format. I'm looking to see how it all plays out, and I'm sure these guys are going to have a lot of fun, and it's going to be a really interesting time for them to grab some extra bonus points and just try to have some fun. But, you know, there's some great races coming up. I'm sure these guys are going to be ready and waiting to lock it down for chase time, and not a lot of time left.
Once again, a big thank you to Bully Dog Coffee Company, founded by Patrick Bowler, with over 20 years, I believe now, of experience in the coffee industry, or close to it. Bully Dog Coffee Company takes the process of making coffee, turns it back into more of a ritual and less of just the process you go through in the morning. Better supporting your caffeine needs and local dog shelters in Central Arizona in the process. Order your first pound of Bully Dog coffee for as little as $15 with promo code FAST10 at checkout today. I'm going to double check the link before I say it, but that is FAST10 at checkout. Making sure I have the right link before. Here we go. Yes, it's just Bully Dog Coffee Company. That's it. That's what I thought. BullyDogCoffeeCompany.com. The code FAST10 at checkout can get your first pound down to as low as $15 per pound. That's pretty solid. It's a good deal there with Bully Dog, and we're glad to have them supporting the league and support them back. So we'll be talking about them a whole lot more the rest of the season. A big thank you to our partners as well here at Pitstop TV, Whiplash SimCams, MXWraps.com, ATVO, Murtis Esports, CC's Business, the North American Racing League, Whiplash Creative, and TZO Designs. And don't think we forgot, by the way, I wanted to give the vote just a little bit more time. We got some more votes, and we do have a driver of the day to award, and I mean, this kind of makes sense. I don't think this is a surprise at all for us, Zach. Jourdain White will be today's North American Racing League driver of the day, and I think that's pretty deserved considering the back-to-front challenge he had to do, starting from the pit lane. He caught the caution perfectly, by the way, on lap 1. That helped him a bunch to make sure he was in this race and in a spot to even win this thing.
I'm sure he's pretty happy to see that he's locking it down. He won the race. He won driver of the day, was able to come up from the back to the front. Can't say I'm surprised either.
A solid win for Jourdain here this evening. A quick look at what's upcoming for us here at Pit Stop TV. And this is the wrong one. Hang on. That's from back in the spring. That's kind of a trip back. We have 2 graphics there. Anyways, here's the current one, Zach. And this, boy, I'm excited. You see the middle entry. We'll get there in a second. First up tomorrow night, Pocono Raceway for the NORA Retro Cup Series. We are going racing once again at Pocono. We were just there back in June. We're going to try it again with the NORA Retro Cup Series. It was a great race. A lot of great strategy in that one. I believe it came down to Dalton Tucker once again in that race. We'll see who can win it this time around, though. And then Wednesday, Zach, what do we have going on there?
We've got the Whiplash Racing Legends Tour. We've been just experimenting here and there. We've been running some side events in between. We just did one last week, or earlier this week still, with the Sarah Series at Slinger. Don't want to talk about that one still because I stepped on it. But going to familiar territory, it's going to be a doubleheader day at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Cookout Summer Shootout on Tuesday, just to reel it back in on Wednesday for the Whiplash Racing Legends Tour. And I'm sure that we'll have a bigger car count with it being a free track on the service for everyone to enjoy. The Legend car is a free car to utilize on the iRacing.com sim as well. So if you're looking forward for a good time, you're looking forward to have fun, I would suggest that you join us for the Whiplash Racing Legends Tour. That's going to be a really fun event to take place with. And then right afterwards, the day afterwards, it's going to be heading over to Sebring for the North American Racing League. They've got a really good race coming up as well. Sebring's a really fun track in those race cars, and I would be amiss if you did not tune in for that race because it's going to be a heater.
Of course, you can catch all these broadcasts and more all across our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Discord. Of course, you can join the Discord server and get in on the fantasy game for the NORA Retro Cup Series tomorrow night. Also, TikTok, Twitch, and YouTube. Hello, TikTok. We were streaming to you today like we have been the last month or so, and that's been a lot of fun, adding that platform to our list. We don't have the greatest numbers over there just yet, but hopefully that changes soon. Of course, that is a place where you can go watch Pit Stop TV now, and we certainly recommend you do so. But, yeah, I'm excited for Wednesday. I'm going to try something out and see what we can make of the Whiplash Racing League Legends Tour. We have... I think we can just go ahead and announce this, Zach. We've announced it. We have the Whiplash Racing League National Tour. Or National Series, I should say. We're differentiating from the National Tour in Sarah, but the National Series this coming fall. That's beginning on September 8th at New Smyrna Speedway, and that'll be in NASCAR or the auto parts cars. And guys, if you're watching here from All American Racing Network, we'd love to have some of you guys join. The registrations are open, and we will soon be taking entry fees and everything like that. So it's going to be a lot of fun on Tuesday evenings. Moving forward, obviously. I know everybody's got a lot going on in their iRacing schedules, so hard to say exactly who's available for it, but at least this Wednesday, if you're free, the track and car are as well. It's a completely free combination. If you have an iRacing.com subscription, you can race. So it should be a lot of fun as we move forward here in July and closer and closer to fall. Crazy to be saying that, honestly. Zach, I didn't think we'd be at the end of summer so soon. I guess we still have a month or so, but regardless, we are quickly rocketing towards the fall and winter months, and I like that. If you know me, you know I like winter. But hey, Zach, thanks for being here. I know this was kind of unplanned. We initially had Blue Carl lined up for this morning, and unfortunately, I think Blue may have overslept, much like we learned that Zach King did here today. But there's always the next one, and for us, again, that is tomorrow night. The NORA Retro Cup Series at Pocono. Zach should be back to his home setup and his good mic for that one as we get ready for the 20th race of their season. Until then, thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow night and hopefully next week as well at Dover.